Day continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the top stories of the hour. Workers' groups are slamming the latest 40 peso wage hike in Metro Manila, saying it is insufficient. Speaking to us here on One News Now, Partido Manggagawa's Secretary General Judy Ann Miranda noted that this amount is not enough to buy a kilo of rice. She also lamented the regional wage board's wage-fixing mechanisms, saying they mostly favor employers. Despite this, Miranda is still hopeful that a legislated wage increase will be pushed.
Nakakadismaya na nung umalis kami, with high hopes ng last hearing, sinabi ng RTWPB, no, ng Regional Wage Board, na magiging practicable, reasonable, at just ang magiging desisyon na ang 40 pesos ay nakikalayo sa hinihiling ng mga manggagawa para sa wage recovery. Halos hindi pa ito kasya para sa 1 kilong bigas. Meron din talaga tayong problema sa mga wage fixing mechanisms ng ating mga regional wage boards. Tulad ng nangyari ngayon, no, na nakakalungkot, muli na mas napapakinggan ang mga employers.
Meanwhile, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines supports the wage increase. However, they said it's possible that micro-industries or small businesses may struggle to cope with the hike.
Marami pa hindi nagbubukas eh. Yun ay naalala namin na pag masyadong mataas, madi-discourage yung mga micro na magbukas o magdagdag ng tao, baka magbawas pa.
Some passengers of the Philippine National Railway Station only have 2 more days to enjoy the train line services. The PNR is set to begin its 5-year closure on Sunday, July 2. This to give way for the construction of the North-South Commuter Railway. The closure will affect 9 stations in Muntinlupa, Cavite, and Laguna. However, railway authorities clarify that the closure will not happen all at once. Authorities have decided to schedule the last trip from Calamba to Binyan on July 2, while the last trip from Santa Rosa to Alabang Station is set on July 12.
Hindi naman natin kakayanin na sabay-sabay lahat. There are preparatory works needed. We don't want to have a situation wherein our province mates will be deprived of the trains, and yet pwede pa naman silang gumamit. So that's why we are trying to maximize at the longest time possible for us before we stop operations.
Retail prices of onions increased again to as high as 200 pesos per kilo. This is 20 pesos higher compared to last week's pricing, based on the monitoring of the Agriculture Department. The highest per kilogram price of onions at 200 pesos was monitored at Commonwealth Market in Quezon City. Kasamahang Industriya ng Agrikultura blamed this on the postponed 150 peso suggested retail price for onions. DA Undersecretary Domingo Panganiban did not sign the SRP order, which was supposed to take effect in May. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. So watching One News Now, I'm Jago Castro. Senate President Mig Zubiri denies tampering with the Maharlika Investment Fund bill after he was accused of signing a version allegedly different from the one approved by Congress. Zubiri signed the final version of the Maharlika bill in Washington, D.C. after both houses of Congress approved it on final reading. The bill was not immediately sent to Malacanang after lawmakers found out that it had two different provisions on the prescriptive period for crimes. Zubiri said this was a, quote, honest oversight by the Secretariat and the staff of Senator Mark Villar. The version he signed already carried the correct prescriptive period, something Senator Coco Pimentel said should have gone through plenary approval again. But Zubiri insisted that doesn't count as tampering.
We just reflected the true intention of the provisions as reflected on the transcript of records. There was no malice or intent or ill intent to tamper, as they saying, or amend the measure. As long as it is not an enrolled bill, when you say subject to style,
President Marcos clarifies that his administration is still studying the request from the United States for the Philippines to take in Afghan nationals, which means there is no deal yet. In his own words, President Marcos said they're still looking for a way to do it without compromising national security. Aside from the security aspect, Marcos said there's the legal and logistical issues to consider. He said that while the Philippines has hosted refugees before, this request from the U.S. is a new one altogether, since it involves Afghan nationals awaiting their special immigration visas. That's why there's a need to really hammer out the legalities and specific details of this request before the Philippines pushes through.
I was a little surprised when I saw some of the news reports. There is a deal between the U.S. There's no deal. We're still looking exactly at how to make it work if we can.
Today marks President Marcos's first year in office. How does the chief executive rate his own performance? Well, President Bongbong Marcos says he has no objection to how one economist rated his performance as incomplete. The president and concurrent agriculture chief said a lot still has to be done about the farming sector and the rise in commodity prices. Inflation has since started to slow down this year after a series of price hikes last year in some basic items like onions and sugar. As he marks his 1 year in office, Marcos Jr. emphasized that fulfilling his campaign promises as the chief executive is a work in progress.
I agree with him. We are not yet done. There are many things that we still need to do. We are still fighting with inflation. Talagang yan, isa pa rin yan ang pinakamalaking problema na hinaharap natin.
And that's it for this hour. I'm Jago Castro. Join us again at 11:15 a.m. We are One News. All sides, all the time.